Hi, sir. I'm Anthony with Signature Roofing. As you can see, I'm here at your home, and I specifically remember leaving the letter at your door. I left the letter personally. I was going up the block looking for older roofs that I could leave a letter on for the purpose of, prospecting to folks for roof replacements. So, the good news about your home and homes in this area, if you looked at our YouTube channel on the QR codes, you'll see that I post all of the jobs publicly. If you looked at a good handful of them, you'll notice that they're all in this area, primarily Washington Township, Winslow Township, but Sicklerville, Williamstown, Turnersville, and then obviously slower parts of the year will be in places like Runnymede, Glendora, but 90% of our business is right in this area. And the reason why roofers and exterior people like to work on what's considered newer construction, anything that's between 25 and 35 years old or newer, is because the meat of the home, right, the exterior that protects the bones of the home, which is the lumber, so your siding protecting your lumber, the lumber is always found to be in good shape. Whether we're tearing off a roof or if we're changing out siding or mending siding, it's in good shape. And you can see we had all that snow with a slow melt off, right? And your boards are still in great shape. So you have nothing that's water rotted there, right? Nothing that would be considered a code violation in the state of New Jersey. What we look for is just to make sure that we're going to be able to tack or nail new siding into that wall, right? And as long as that board is considered nailable, we're okay. It is. And as you'll notice, it's board, and then you have a layer of paper, which is different than what we put on the roof. That paper is hydrophobic, right? It doesn't breathe at all. It resists water. This, because it's on a wall, this is a breathable paper. The most commonly used would be Tyvek. The reason it has to be breathable is because once you get a layer of moisture between the paper and the wood, we don't want it trapped there, right? We want it in a place that we want that paper to breathe to be able to let that moisture dry. So, when we're doing a project like this, most roofers or siding people that you're going to call out are going to look at this and they're going to tell you, look, the only way that we would do this job is to replace this entire wall. And the reality of it is that there just really aren't that many contractors out here that still do the work themselves. Most of them sub it out, so they're not looking for projects unless they're full roof replacements. There's nobody out here not many people out here with common sense that'll still look at a job and say, hey, most of the siding on this wall is intact. It doesn't require the person to spend thousands of dollars to replace the whole wall, right? We're going to make do with all of the siding that's in good condition, and we're simply going to replace siding where it's missing. How is that job done? How can we do that correctly? Well, the first thing about it is you can see that there is no paper where the sheathing is exposed. So we would have to remove at least a few of these rows to expose that paper, right? Because when we lay siding, we start from the bottom, and these vinyl systems have a locking where you snap the next row up, right? And then you tack it in. That's how everything stays tight up. So the first thing we would have to address is the underlayment. All of this lumber would have to be protected by paper, right? And we wouldn't just go and pull these couple off and drape paper. We would go up a little bit to make sure that we had full paper protection. So we would merely pull a couple of these rows off to get to the exposed paper, and a couple of those rows off to get to the exposed paper. Once we got to that exposed paper, we would start higher than when it comes down, right? And we would bring it down lower than where it tops up so that it's overlapping, and we know now that that entire wall is papered. Once it's papered, right, the pieces of siding that we've had to pull down, we can pull down carefully. We mark them so we know exactly what sequential order they're in, and we simply put those pieces that we were able to remove without damaging back up. So basically, the only thing that you're spending money on is the amount of paper that it's going to take to paper that gap, and whatever vinyl siding that you need to, close that gap. I'm telling you this just simply because I want to let you know that we pride ourselves on no job being too small. And we understand that sometimes people need a temporary fix before they're going to change the siding on the whole home. They're not going to change the siding on one wall before they're ready to do it on the whole house. So I tell you all of that to say, if you want the quickest solution at the lowest possible cost, the way that I just explained to you would be how we would do it. If you were to say to me after seeing this video, Anthony, that's not what I had in mind. I appreciate your concern for keeping costs low, but all of this area here where I can see all of these waves in the siding because it either was not hung correctly or simply is just deteriorated to an age where it's starting to show normal wear and tear. If you said you didn't want that, or you didn't want the weather deteriorated siding here and up top and newer siding that was going to have to weather deteriorate to catch up to match color perfectly, and you wanted it completely taken down, then we start at the top. We take all of this siding down, top to bottom. We dispose of it. We haul it. And then when we have a bare wall, we repaper the entire wall and we put siding on the entire wall. Now keep in mind, that's a much larger project because you're on multiple elevations and you're not just running straight panels of siding, you're having to cut out windows, right? So all of that adds cost to the project. Another thing that I'll explain to you, okay, as a roofer, you can see I started the video by showing you my truck. I come prepared with ladders to get on any type of roof, no matter how big it is. So I have the largest ladder, and I have a 28-foot, which is more convenient speed ladder if I don't need the big. But in any case, on a home like yours, when we come to change this roof, and if you had the roof replaced, you'll remember they would set the ladders here and slant them up against this rake wall, or the same thing, maybe set it here and slant it up against that rake wall, because when you're working all day, you don't want a ladder to blow down. You want it slanted where it's, leaning into that slope, right, with the feet dug into the ground. So 40-foot ladder is plenty enough, right, to get you from this corner up to that eave corner, right? But then you run out of ladder. So if you were doing the entire wall, it's multiple elevations. You're on and off of a ladder, up and down all day. If you decide to just mend the part that's missing, this is the most difficult part to mend. And the reason I say that is because even roofers, when you see a van go by with 10 ladders, it doesn't have a ladder large enough to go up the wall to that ridge. They would get onto the roof to the low point by the eave. So you need equipment, that ladder equipment or scaffolding equipment that a roofer typically would not have on their truck or may not even own. We have the ladders, but you're at the highest elevation. If we did a roof job, there would never be a point where we would get on a ladder higher than this point right here. We'll be working on a ladder from the ridge down. So you're at an extreme high elevation. It's not a big enough job to come and build scaffolding for it. So it's basically going to be two guys up and down a ladder. So it's labor intensive in the sense that it's not tough labor, like when you tear off a roof and you have all that muscle work to pick up shingles before you put a roof back on, but it's tedious work. It's a lot of measuring. It's a lot of being accurate with cutting. And it's a lot of basically taking your time to make sure that you're setting nails properly and doing it in a way where it doesn't look like that 10 years later. And the work that we do, just to be frank, does not look like that many years later. So that's basically it. I wanted to come and look. I kind of remembered, but I put letters with special notes about siding after the snow and probably about 5 to 7 different homes, so I didn't remember exactly who you were. As soon as I pulled up and saw the cars in your driveway, I remembered your home, and then I saw the siding and remembered why I left you the letter. So after you see this video, please just let me know how you would like me to arrange an estimate for either the complete job, replacing that entire wall, or just the quicker more cost-effective fix to mend the area where siding is missing, so that I don't spin my wheels and provide you an estimate that's useless because it either doesn't cover the full complete amount of work you expected, or it incorporates more work than you had anticipated for. I'd rather deliver you an estimate that's exactly for the scope of work that you're hoping to have accomplished. So when you see this video, just let me know exactly what that is, and I'll prepare an estimate when I get back into the office today. Thank you.